Let's be honest. There's a new sheriff in town, and her name is Sophie Cunningham. In a league suddenly buzzing with rivalries, drama, and enough social media chaos to rival NBA Twitter, this is the moment that cracked the internet wide open. It wasn't a buzzer beater. It wasn't a triple-double. It was a sharper, a rookie card, and a message written so bold you'd think was tattooed in fire. Property of Sophie Cunningham. And the name on the card? Jacy Sheldon. The same Jacy Sheldon who just gone viral, for all the wrong reasons, after putting an unnecessary, borderline dirty hit on Caitlin Clark during one of the most heated fever matchups of the season. If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe. Now, let's be clear. That foul wasn't just hard contact. It was a moment, the kind of moment that instantly splits a fan base, fires up a team, and demands a response. And oh, did Sophie deliver. She didn't throw a punch. She didn't go on a press tour. She just walked up to a fan at a fever vent, spotted a Jacy Sheldon rookie card, and without skipping a beat, scrawled across in all caps like she was branding cattle. Property of Sophie Cunningham. Mic dropped. The video hit X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere within hours. Fans went wild. Memes exploded. Fever Nation rallied behind their new enforcer, like she was the second coming of Dennis Rodman meets Diana Taurasi. But this wasn't just a spicy autograph. This was a statement. Sophie didn't just defend Caitlin Clark. She marked her territory. In a league where Clark has been constantly targeted, pushed, elbowed, and shoved by defenders trying to make a name for themselves, Cunningham said what we were all thinking. You mess with her, you deal with me. And that's the kind of energy the Fever desperately needed. Because here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. Caitlin Clark's greatness made her a target the second she stepped into the WNBA, not just because of her scoring, her passes, or her media magnetism, but because of the weight her name carries. Everyone wanted a piece of her, and some took that literally. The physicality she's endured has been relentless. Off-ball holds, elbows, slaps, cheap screens. And somehow, game after game, it kept getting waved off like it was just rookie growing pains. But Sophie, she wasn't about to let that slide. She didn't wait for the refs to do something. She didn't wait for the league office to review the tape. She did what real teammates do. She showed up, not with violence, not with theatrics, but with swagger. Because Sophie Cunningham doesn't just bring fire, she brings balance. That unique blend of edge and composure. She's not out here trying to be the league villain. She's trying to be the protector. The one who says, if you come at us sideways, we're not backing down. And fans? Oh, they ate it up. You had people photoshopping that signed rookie card like it was the Mona Lisa. Fever supporters creating mock Property of Sophie shirts. Even rival fans, especially rival fans, had to admit, okay, that's kind of iconic. Because let's face it, the WNBA doesn't always get moments like this. This wasn't league-approved branding or scripted post-game interviews. This was real, raw, and just the right amount of petty. It felt like sports. But here's where it gets even more important. Sophie isn't just a muscle. She's not just Clark's bodyguard. She's a legit baller in her own right. Since the All-Star break, she's been cooking. 18 points against the Mercury. Hustle plays. Defensive stops. Big-time energy. She's showing up in clutch moments and standing tall when things get physical. She's doing all the little things that don't show up on highlight reels, but win games. And that's what makes her presence so valuable. The Fever aren't just a team with potential anymore. They're a team with identity. They got their superstar in Clark, their steady post anchor in Aaliyah Boston, and now their enforcer in Sophie Cunningham. Think of her like the WNBA's Draymond Green, but with a smoother jumper and fewer suspensions. She sets the tone. She draws the line. And she makes it crystal clear, you're not bullying our rookies. And let's be real, that message wasn't just for Jacy Sheldon. That Sharpie was aimed at the entire league. To every guard thinking they can sneak a cheap shot in off a screen. To every forward who wants to body Clark at half court. To every coach preaching physicality as a strategy to slow her down, Sophie said, don't try it. And honestly, it's working. Since the viral moment, you can feel the energy shift. There's more respect, more space. Opponents aren't so quick to get handsy when Sophie's lurking on the wing. You think they want to end up on the next property of Sophie card? Yeah, didn't think so. Even teammates are rallying around it. Lexi Ho posted about it with a caption, Sophie said what she said. Boston? Cheering her on during every heated exchange. It's giving old school unity. It's giving ride or die energy. It's giving actual team chemistry. And that's the part that matters most. Because beyond the jokes, the memes, the viral clips, this moment showed us something deeper about this Fever squad. They're done being passive. Done being pushed around. Done watching their star take hits without backup. They're fighting back, not with violence, but with culture, with identity, with grit, with a fearless sense of loyalty that says, this is our team and we protect our own. And as for Jacy Sheldon, well, she's learning the hard way that trying to make your name off someone else's spotlight can backfire fast. Her foul on Clark didn't make her a star. It made her a warning label. And that rookie card, let's just say it's not going for what she thought it would. Because now, it's not a symbol of her career. It's a reminder of Sophie's dominance. And if you think Sophie's going to stop there, think again. This is just the beginning. She's stepping into her villain arc. Or maybe it's her protector arc. Either way, it's clear. She's not here to play nice. She's here to make sure every single player on this Fever team knows someone's got their back. That intimidation tactics won't work anymore. That if you try to knock Clark down, you're getting signed. Literally. So go ahead, League. Keep testing the Fever. Keep trying to throw cheap shots and see what happens. But just know Sophie's watching. And she brought her Sharper. Let's dig even deeper into the aftermath of the Sharper herd round the league. Because this wasn't just a meme-worthy moment that blew over in 24 hours. No, this lit a fire under the entire Fever roster. And if you've been watching closely since Sophie Cunningham's Property of Sophie moment, the shift isn't just about one card. It's about a mentality. The Fever finally have something they've been missing all season, an edge. And that edge, it's wearing jersey number 9. Sophie's move wasn't just a clap back at Jacy Sheldon. It was a full-on declaration. A public, we're not the team you can push around anymore. And that vibe, it's contagious. Suddenly, the Fever bench is louder. Every foul gets a response. Every tough screen from Boston has a little more snap. Even the rookies, players like Grace Berger and Celeste Taylor, are walking with more confidence because they know Sophie isn't just talking big. She's backing it up, and in a league that's always talk about toughness, but rarely celebrates it when it's loud, feminine, and unapologetically protective, that matters. But here's the real twist. This moment might have accidentally created the WNBA's next iconic rivalry, because Jacy Sheldon, she's not just going to fade into background now, whether she wanted or not. She's been pulled into a storyline that's bigger than just a hard foul. She's now a character in the WNBA's new age drama. And if the league's smart, they'll lean into it. Because people love a good villain arc. They love a feud. And they especially love a dynamic where two players with completely different energies are locked into something personal. Cunningham's a veteran, brash, loud, confident, and memeable. Sheldon's a rookie with something to prove, maybe a little too aggressive, now a little infamous. That's storybook stuff. You can already imagine the next matchup. National broadcast, full crowd, signs in the stands reading, still property of Sophie. Sheldon trying to prove she won't be intimidated. Cunningham holding court like she owns the building. The tension, the heat, the stakes. It's the kind of stuff the WNBA has needed, and it all started with a Sharpie and a rookie card. But this storyline does more than just entertain. It redefines how we talk about team roles in women's basketball. For years, the WNBA has focused on skill and finesse, and rightfully so. These players are incredibly talented. But what's often been missing in the mainstream conversation is the appreciation for enforcers, for role players who might not drop 30, but will absolutely set the tone. And Sophie Cunningham? She's that tone setter. Her presence gives players like Caitlin Clark permission to play free. It gives Boston space to dominate in the post. It gives Lexi Hull confidence to attack the rim without worrying about retaliation, because they know if something happens, Sophie's already on her feet. That kind of presence, you can't teach that. You earn that, and the fans feel it too. They're not just watching games now, they're watching Sophie. Her reactions, her intensity, the way she daps teammates after a good defensive possession, the way she stares down players who try to get physical with Clark. She's becoming must-watch TV in her own right, not because of stat lines, but because she's giving the Fever an identity. And let's talk about Fever fans for a second. This team has gone from being an afterthought to being the most watched, most talked about team in the league. But that rise hasn't just been because of Caitlin Clark. It's been because fans are finally seeing a complete roster of personalities. Clark is a superstar. Boston is a foundation. Cunningham, she's a heartbeat. You know those teams in other leagues that you just don't mess with? Like the Bad Boy Pistons, the early 2000s Lakers, the Golden Knights in their first NHL season. They had skill, yes, but more than that, they had swagger, a team-wide vibe that said, come at us, and you better be ready for what comes back. That's what Sophie is building in Indiana, and it's happening faster than anyone expected. And here's the best part. It's not fake. This isn't some forced storyline. This isn't a PR stunt. This is a real teammate standing up for another. This is chemistry being forged in battle. And it's exactly what the Fever need if they're going to be a serious playoff team. Because talent only gets you so far. The rest? That's guts. That's cohesion. That's having players who are willing to get in someone's face when things get testy. And now, other teams are starting to adjust. You're seeing defenders think twice before crowding Clark at the perimeter. You're seeing players jaw a little less after a hard foul because they know Sophie's right there, watching, ready. It's like the WNBA version of touch her and see what happens. And honestly, it's long overdue. The league has been quietly evolving into something more physical, more intense, more emotionally charged. And Sophie Cunningham just became the face of that evolution. So where does this go from here? Well, buckle up, because Sophie's just getting started. With every game, she's leaning further into this role. The fire's growing. The fan base is growing. And the Fever? They're becoming a team that doesn't just show up to play. They show up to send a message. And if you think Sophie's going to let this property of Sophie saga fade into the background, please. She's already got the next move brewing. Maybe it's a custom tee. Maybe it's a game winner over Sheldon. Maybe it's another viral quote post-game. Whatever it is, you can bet on one thing. The league is watching. The players are watching. And Fever fans? They're watching their team transform from fun and promising into you don't want that smoke. Because Sophie Cunningham didn't just defend Caitlin Clark. She changed the energy of franchise. And all it took was a marker and some guts. Let's keep going, because the Sophie Cunningham effect, it's way bigger than one viral autograph. This isn't just about protecting Caitlin Clark anymore. This is about redefining what leadership looks like in the WNBA. See, we've been conditioned to think that leaders are always the top scorers, the faces of the league, the ones with the mic in every post-game interview, and the biggest deals with Nike and Gatorade. And while that's true in one sense, those players do carry weight. It's the enforcers who keep the foundation from cracking. And Sophie? She's emerging as one of the league's most important off-the-script leaders. Not with the flashiest stats, not with viral shoe deals, but with presence. You know when she's on the floor. You feel it. You sense it when a play starts getting chippy or when a defender starts bumping Caitlin off the ball. You can almost hear Sophie's sneakers squeaking in from the wing like, not today. She's not policing the game like a ref. She's guarding the chemistry like a bodyguard the velvet rope. And here's what makes her so effective. She knows exactly when to show up. She's not out here swinging elbows for attention or faking drama to get on SportsCenter. Her presence is calculated, surgical. It's less look at me and more try me. And fans, they love this energy. Because let's be honest, Every dynasty needs that one player who doesn't care about headlines, who's just there to make sure no one messes with the system. Look at the greats. The Bulls had Rodman. The Warriors had Draymond. The Storm had Tanisha Wright. You need that grit, that edge, that glue. And Cunningham has taken that role and made it marketable. That's the next layer. Because the Property of Sophie moment didn't just go viral because it was savage. It went viral because it felt fresh. WNBA fans haven't seen this level of intentional swagger in a long time, and especially not from a player who's also producing on the court. Sophie's 18-point outing against Phoenix wasn't a fluke. It was a message, a warning that she's not just here to play bodyguard. She's here to compete. And that combination, that rare blend of muscle and finesse, of bark and actual bite, it's something the Fever have desperately needed. Let's not sugarcoat it. The Fever have been inconsistent. On offense, on defense, on leadership. The team was still figuring out its voice. For a while, Caitlin was the default captain. Aaliyah Boston was the interior anchor. But the soul of the team, that was still undefined. Until Sophie started showing up in ways no one else would. Not just in minutes or points or stat sheets, but in energy shifts. You can feel her effect even when she's on the bench. Just watch her reactions. She's the first one standing up when Clark hits a three. She's the one shouting directions, talking through plays during timeouts, smacking teammates' shoulders on the way to the bench like a hype coach in a jersey. She's the pulse. And that pulse, it's creating ripple effects. Even the opponents are adjusting. It's not just about avoiding Cunningham. It's about preparing for her. You can see players now hesitate to talk trash. You can sense a little more restraint in the elbows when a defender bumps Clark. Because even if the refs won't blow the whistle, Sophie will show up. You don't teach that. You don't assign that in a huddle. That's earned. That's instinctive. And it's what separates regular season teams from teams that build culture. Because if the Fever are going to become a real threat in the postseason, not just a media circus, not just a Caitlin Clark show, they need that culture. And Sophie's helping build it brick by brick. Now, let's zoom out a bit, because this moment also shines a very uncomfortable spotlight on the rest of the league. Why are more teams developing enforcers like Cunningham? We're protective guards who aren't afraid to set the tone. The teammates who don't mind taking the heat, if it means protecting a rookie's legs. There's been a strange passivity in the league lately when it comes to protecting star players. It's like everyone's afraid of being labeled dirty or aggressive. But toughness isn't dirty. Standing up for your teammate isn't aggression. It's accountability. And Sophie's showing how to do that without crossing the line. She's not swinging fists or shoving opponents. She's using presence, sarcasm, performance, and timing. The signed rookie card wasn't violence. It was psychological warfare. It said, you tried it. I saw it. And now, everyone's going to remember it. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Even better, that moment became a blueprint. Young players around the league, especially guards and wings, are watching how Cunningham moves, how she takes up space, how she walks into media days with that slight smirk like she knows something the rest of us don't. That's mentor-level energy, and she's not even done evolving yet. Don't be surprised if Sophie Cunningham becomes a template for the next generation of role players. Players who can lock down defense, space the floor, and still command respect. Not with ego, but with consistency and confidence. And with Clark returning from injury soon, that on-court chemistry is going to skyrocket. They've already got the sisterhood vibe. You can see it in the way they talk on the court, the mutual respect, the way Caitlin doesn't just accept Sophie's protection. She welcomes it. It's not bodyguard and star. It's partners in battle. One is the headliner. One is a hammer. And when they're on the floor together, defenses are subtly thinking about more than just three-pointers. They're thinking about consequences. So what happens next? If Cunningham keeps this up, she's not just going to become a fan favorite. She's going to become the soul of the Fever's identity. A cornerstone that won't show up in every headline, but will define the locker room, the chemistry, the unity. Because every team needs a player who isn't just there to score or pass or rebound, but to set the tone. And in Indiana, that's Sophie freaking Cunningham, a walking Sharpie. a strategic mind, a loud voice, a physical force, a meme generator, a teammate's teammate, the enforcer of the WNBA's next era. And whether the rest of the league is ready for it or not, she's already writing the next chapter in permanent ink. So here we are at the edge of a brand new era for the Indiana Fever, and honestly, the WNBA as a whole. What started as a cheeky autograph, property of Sophie Cunningham, has snowballed into something way more powerful. It's not just a viral moment. It's a mission statement. Sophie Cunningham has officially declared, "You don't mess with this team without hearing from me." In a league where physical play has ramped up and rookie stars like Caitlin Clark have been left to fend for themselves, Sophie stepped up, not with empty words, but with action, attitude, and just enough sarcasm to make it iconic. And that's what makes this story matter. Because every star needs protection, but not everyone is willing to be the protector. Sophie isn't just willing, she's thriving in it. She's turned being the enforcer into an art form. And the best part? She's doing it while contributing real minutes, real buckets, and real leadership. The Fever have a future now that feels bigger than any one player. With Caitlin dazzling Boston anchoring and Sophie enforcing, this team has a spine, a style, a personality. And if that personality happens to be a little loud, a little fearless, and a little messy, good. That's what makes it unforgettable. Because in this league, the wins will come and go. Stats will fade. But moments like this, when a teammate draws a line in Sharpie and dares the league to cross it, that's how legends are born. So to every team thinking of taking liberties with the Fever again, just remember whose name is on the card. And ask yourself, are you ready for Sophie Cunningham to put you in your place too?